مشاهدينا مرحبا، لقاء جديد بطل فيكم عليه عبر شاشة مريم تي في من برنامج جديد وطلة جديدة من سفرة مع سفير. بيسعدني بهالمناسبة استضيف سعادة سفير كوبا السيد ألكسندر بيليس موراغا embajador de la República de Cuba en Líbano. Hola.
Hola.
¿Cómo está؟
بخير الحمد لله.
سعادة السفير يتكلم الفصحى
نعم.
والآن في هذا البرنامج من هذه الإطلالة الجميلة سنرحب بكم. مرحبا، كيف الصحة؟
منيح.
منيح.
تمام، أنا سعيد جدا هنا في لبنان. أنا أريد شكرا لك وشكرا مريم تبي للإنترفيو، هذا مهم جدا لكوبا.
شكرا لسعادتكم سعادة سفير جمهورية كوبا في لبنان السيد ألكسندر. Thank you for being with us today in Mariam TV Plateau. We're gonna make a virtual trip with you, Your Excellency, to the Republic of Cuba in order to discover the beauty of this country, this magic land that encompasses a lot of beauty in nature and has a lot of things to discover.
Yes, for sure. Big pleasure for me to be here and to share with you everything about my country, about Cuban history, about Cuban food, about anything you want to know about my country.
So as we know, we're going to see on the monitor now the geographical map of Cuba. We know that Cuba comprises the island of Cuba plus La Isla de la Juventud, the island of Jóvenes, and it has another chain of islands. What can you tell us?
Yes, Cuba is a big island surrounded by small islands, included Isla de la Juventud. This is the biggest of this island outside the big island, and Cuba is in the Caribbean.
The northern Caribbean, as we see, it's in the northern Caribbean, as we see on the geographical map.
Yes, we are in a very strategical position. We say that Cuba is the key of the Gulf of Mexico, because we are between North America and South America, and in front of Central America.
Yes.
If you go from South America to North, Cuba is in the middle of this way, and we have a very good position in this area of the Caribbean. Cuba is the biggest island in all the Caribbean system, and it's one of the biggest islands all over the world. We are in between the 10 more biggest islands in the world.
And we say La Isla de la Juventud, it means the island of youth.
Yes.
It encompasses a lot of young people studying there. And since when?
Yes, after the Cuban Revolution, 1959, we have a policy to help other countries, and we offer a lot of scholarships from people from the third countries, third world, African, Latin American, and a lot of these people come to Cuba and went to Isla de la Juventud.
Sí.
And they studied there. A lot of schools.
Solamente para estudiar, sí?
Yes, to study in the school of Cuba, and a lot of young people live at that time in this island, and we put it island of the youth.
And
by that reason.
Demographically speaking, how much does it encompass? How many people does it encompass? Almost the La Isla de la Juventud.
About 50,000 people.
50,000 people.
In general, population there. Nowadays, there is not this quantity of students, because now they are studying in the island, in the big island.
Yes.
But at that time, there are a lot of students from foreign countries in Cuba.
And the main list of other islands, small islands, are they inhabited? And
we are developed now, usually are inhabited because they are a small island, but now we are developed the tourism in this kind of island with beautiful beaches. Wow. And we are building a lot of hotels in that areas. We create the conditions to develop the tourism in this area of the small islands surrounded Cuba.
We say the Republic of Cuba, it's a republican system. and
Yes.
it has a constitution.
Yes.
Before stepping into the Republic of Cuba, the constitution and the parliament system, we will see now on the monitor the flag of Cuba, and you will tell us more about the star, the
Yes.
dot, white dot star on the
Yes. One star.
blood
is-
color. Maybe the red color is a blood color.
Yes, yes. The
Yes.
black color, the white is the pure, the blue, the
blue
sky.
strays.
Yes, and
Yes.
it's based in the colors of the Revolution of France.
Exactly.
In 1989, about liberty, sovereignty, freedom. This is the main, and the star is the sovereign of the country. One star, the unity of the country too. This
And-
is the meaning.
And 15th century, it was a colony for Spain.
Yes,
we
we
see.
during 400 years more or less.
Until it means until
Since
1898 almost.
Christopher Columbus arrived Cuba in 27 October 1492. Since that moment,
Yes.
we were a colony of Spain until 1898.
Okay.
1898, we proclaimed the Republic of Cuba in 1902.
And Spanish-American War was
Yes,
after this
before
colony.
after the Spanish-American War, we established in 1902 the Cuban Republic. The Cuban Republic was born in 1902.
Okay. And this shield that we see on the monitor, Your Excellency, the
This
significance.
is the Cuban shield.
Okay.
Yes,
What is the
as you can
significance
see,
of this shield?
This key that you see is Cuba.
As you said.
As I
in the-
told you, Cuba is considered the key of the Gulf of Mexico.
Wow.
Open all the connections to North, to Central America, to
Yes.
South. This is a very strategical position. Between the two lands, Cuba is in the middle and is the key.
And is it an open key today for all the surrounding and neighboring countries?
Yes, of course.
Yes.
We are an open, very open country.
Economically
Yes,
speaking.
we are
first.
promoting now the foreign investment because we need it, because we are in a small country. We don't have big natural resources. And we need foreign investment in order to develop our economy.
Definitely.
And in our new constitution, we put in one of the articles the importance of the foreign investment and the support of the government to all the businessmen that travel to Cuba to invest in Cuba.
Before talking about the parliament structure and the constitution, we will talk a little bit about the war between Spaniard, the
Yes.
Spanish people, and
Yes.
the American. Can you tell us more about these main historical steps throughout history, please?
Yes, our fight, the fight of the Cuban people against the Spanish Empire begins October 10th, 1868. A Cuban army was created at that time to fight for the Cuban independence. That war spent about 10 years. They finished in 1878 without any result. We couldn't achieve the independence at that time. In 1895, we retook this war against Spain for the Cuban freedom. The leader of this revolution was José Martí. He's the Cuban national hero. He's very, very famous in Latin America.
Before proclaiming Independence Day, you mean?
Yes, before, in
Yes.
1895,
Okay.
we retook the fight for the independence of Cuba.
Okay.
And during 3 years, when the Spain army was almost defeated, the United States intervened in that war,
Yes.
and they took part in the actions of this war, and they stayed in Cuba during 4 years. The army and the United States during 1902, when we proclaimed the Cuban Republic.
So it was proclaimed in the National Day you celebrated.
20 May
the perfect.
1902 is one of the
The
is
official
officially,
National Day.
but as I told you, it was not a real independent in Cuba,
Okay.
because in the new constitution there was an amendment that allowed the United States to intervene in Cuba anytime, and that was not a sovereign country
This
by that reason.
This constitution dating back to which year?
1902.
1902, and
1902.
then you put another constitution and other amendments there too.
Yes,
right?
this amendment, Platt Amendment, is called of this amendment that United States put in the Constitution, stayed till 1934.
Okay.
1934, we withdraw of the Constitution, and we established a new Constitution in 1940. This Constitution stayed till 1975.
With Fidel Castro.
Yes, the revolution of Fidel Castro began
1959 till
finished in 1959.
Yes.
And this Constitution of 1940 still till 1975.
And what kind of revolution was he making? And what kind
It
of
was a social
amendments?
revolution. They fight against the Batista dictature at that time, and it was a social revolution.
So we can say that Fidel Castro was
told at that time that the Cuban revolution is green as a Cuban trees.
wow, amazing.
It's a nationalist and social revolution to change the system in Cuba, a very bad system for the majority of people, a lot of corruption.
For communism, you mean?
No, at that time we didn't think in communism. We tried to make a better system for the Cuban people in general, and we're still working in that situation. Of course, at that time we received a lot of support from Soviet Union and other socialist countries, because our idea is nearest than the social system than the capitalist system.
Really?
And we saw in the social countries like a guide to follow,
So
but
you are on
in
the
our
perfect
own way. In our own way.
Yes. Talking about the constitution and the parliament structure, Your Excellency, what can you tell us?
Well, we established a new constitution in 1975 after the revolution, with many changes, different. We changed system, political system, elections, many things. This constitution is still alive till this year.
Okay.
This year we approved in a referendum a new constitution. But before to approve this constitution, we discussed with all people in Cuba. We show to the people in the neighborhoods, in the place when people work, we show a project of the constitution, and people speak about the constitution. People change.
How long does it take to change the old, or to move from the old constitution to the current one?
We still 5 years working in the new constitution. Wow. A group of experts work to write the new constitution, and after that we consult people. People talk about constitution. People made many changes in this constitution. It is only different because usually a group of persons write the constitution and people approve. In Cuba, we ask to the people about this constitution before the referendum, and people change many things in this constitution.
And what was the general feedback and opinion as regards this
Very good. About in the referendum, about 8 billion people vote.
Wow,
this
amazing.
Constitution. It's about 90% of the Cuban people who has right to vote. It's a big support. Nowadays, it's not easy to find
a very high number
in any. Yes, this high number, and it's not it's voluntary to vote. It's not obligatory in Cuba to vote.
Exactly.
You vote if you want to vote, and there is not a problem if you don't want to vote.
About the 3 tributes of indigenous people in Cuba, what can you tell us? And about the language and other dialects?
Well, they have a very primitive communities at that time, before the Christopher Columbus arrived Cuba. Very primitive. They speak primitive languages. They live in some communities. They hunt, they fish, they cultivate some food, but was very primitive.
Do they vote? Do they vote? They have the right of voting.
in
these
Cuba?
primitive
No,
tributes,
no.
people?
They don't have any system of.
Any system?
They have maybe a chief in the tribe,
Okay.
but they choose very
Okay.
democratically at that time.
Yes. The main language is Spanish.
It's Spanish. Yes, we were
Other
a Spain
dialects?
colony, and we learn Spanish as all Latin America, but Brazil that speaks Portuguese.
See.
And this is our national language, and we have English as a second language.
English as a second language.
Yes.
And
We teach at the school, the universities.
no other dialects?
No, there is not
Only
Spanish.
Only
Spanish.
Spanish.
and
Solamente
English,
español.
Solamente español.
Sí. El español es la segunda idioma
Yes, it's the
nowadays.
second language all over the world.
The second language
Yes,
over the world.
yes, after English.
After English.
Yes, it's a very important language. Here in Lebanon, a lot of people
Speak
speak
Spanish.
Spanish. Yes,
Exactly.
it's a very, very important language.
La Habana, the capital of the Republic of Cuba, the largest city and the largest capital and the open gate for high economy. What can you tell us, please?
Yes, La Habana is a capital of Cuba.
We will see some photos on the monitor.
Since the beginning of the colony, it was the main city. The Spanish established the government here, and it's a very, very important, one of the most important capitals in Latin America.
Okay. Wow, this is
You can see
amazing what we
yes,
see.
it's a very, very beautiful city.
Road networks,
Yes, this is the Malecon. We call Malecon.
standing by the sea.
The sea, this is the Caribbean Sea. It's really wonderful. The Havana has about 2.5 million inhabitants.
Okay.
And we have all the institutions of the government are in the capital. And it's one of the most important destinations from the tourism.
A
in
main touristic
Havana.
spot.
Yes, it's Havana, Varadero.
Havana by night.
Yes, by night.
I
It's
call
very,
it
very
magic.
beautiful. All people who visit Havana love Havana because
Really?
it's a magical city.
Really.
But the most important thing is a beautiful, but the most important thing is people. Because Cuban people is very friendly. We are all the way laughing. We are all the way dancing.
Everybody's
we
happy.
Yes, we don't need too much to be happy. That's the thing. in
This is
Cuba.
what we call alegría.
Yes, alegría. We go to the
Alegría.
Malecon with a bottle of rum, and we sing, we dance all the
Wow.
night,
Amazing.
only with a bottle of rum. We don't do more.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
We don't need too much to be happy. And people feel that in Cuba. Cuba people is very authentic people.
And I can see here on the monitor a very recent photo with a very old car, a
Yes,
vehicle. What
yes.
can you tell us about this mixture of old and
Cuba
new?
is like a museum with all cars. This is one of the most attractive things of the Havana. The tourists like to take pictures with this kind of cars. They travel to Havana in these cars, and it's very, very, very interesting. These cars are American cars
Okay.
from the 50s, maybe from the 40s.
Exactly.
And the Cuban
Are they
take
using
care a
these
lot,
cars
these
until
cars.
current date?
Hmm?
The Cuban are using these cars,
Yes,
driving
Cuban
these cars
use-
until now.
A lot of cars. If you go to Havana, maybe the 50% or more of the Cuban cars are the American cars, all American cars. Now, of course, we have modern cars, but this is something that make Havana special.
Exactly.
This kind of car, there is no other city all over the world when this car circulates normal as
It's
other
a unique
cars.
cachet for the country,
Yes,
I guess.
and people, the tourists like a lot this
Exactly.
because it's something
That
different,
is,
amazing.
That is unique.
Yes, it's unique.
Exactly.
And we want to maintain this because
Definitely.
it's important.
We will see, Mr. Ambassador, Your Excellency, a small video about Havana and then get back to the studio.
Okay.
Habana, mi vieja Habana, señora Victoria de conquistadores y gente, si mis ojos te abandonarán, si la vida me desterrará a un rincón de la tierra.
the ballet.
I feel like, Your Excellency, I feel like quitting the studio right now and make a short or long trip to the Republic of Cuba. It's amazing, really. How long
Yes.
does it take for us as Lebanese, flying from Lebanon to reach the country?
Well, you
Almost.
can go through Europe,
Okay.
or you can go through Turkey.
Okay.
It's a new way that
Destination.
you can use. About from here to Europe, about 5 hours,
Mhm.
and after to Havana, 9 hours, 10 hours. In total, 14
oh my
hours.
God.
It's a
14
long trip.
hours in the plane.
Yes, it's 9
It's
hours.
a long, but it's worth. It's worth it.
Yes, yes.
See.
But this is it's a long trip, but it's nice at the end
Exactly.
when you arrive to Havana, to Cuba.
Let's see another video now for Havana on the monitor, just to love Havana more
Yes,
and look forward more to visiting it.
of course.
All right. This is amazing, Mr. Ambassador, as we see the Revolution Square, the old vehicles, the main touristic destination spots, and it's about 4.7 million tourists this year. The number has or is skyrocketing, and the expectations are for 5 million tourists. It's a very safe country. So
Yes,
this,
yes. It's one of the reasons because every year is growing the tourism to Cuba. We received last year 4.7 millions, and this year maybe we can achieve for first time in our history 5 million of tourists.
everybody is happy in the video. All
yes,
tourists are
everybody's
very
happy. We are a happy people, very happy
Wow.
people.
Wow.
And the tourists, when arrive to Cuba in general, they feel that happiness. They feel that the Cuban people
positive
is very
vibe.
simple people, very happy. We are laughing always. And we are very friendly people too. We receive the foreigners with open arms, and immediately we connect with the people.
Your Excellency,
But
Mr.
this is-
Ambassador of the Republic of Cuba, we will take a small pause and get back to the studio. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
مشاهدينا بريك صغير وبنرجع لكم. سعادة سفير جمهورية كوبا في لبنان. أرحب بكم مجددا سعادة السفير في استوديو مريم تي في.
شكرا جزيلا.
شكرا. Your Excellency, we're gonna talk or we're gonna cover in this slot, 30-minute, almost 30-minute slot, tourism parts of the country, the largest or the most beautiful cities of the country,
Yes.
and you will tell us more.
Yes, of course. Of course, Havana is the biggest city. It's one of the most beautiful cities of the island. But Cuba is not only Havana. We have a lot of cities with a big history. With
Trinidad, for instance.
yes, with beautiful places. And for example, I am going to begin from the east.
Okay.
We have the city of Baracoa. This is
Baracoa.
it was the first village that the Spanish founded in Cuba.
Mhm.
It's amazing.
Historical
natural.
and old city, you mean?
Yes, it's the oldest city in Cuba, in Baracoa. It's
Wow.
in the east
Mhm.
because Christopher Columbus arrived to the east of Cuba, and after they go to the west in Havana, but they create the first village in this city of Baracoa,
Mhm.
and this is an amazing place, very beautiful.
What are
natural
the main
place.
features about?
There are some pictures. I brought some.
We will have to see some pictures on the monitor
the
about
Baracoa.
the city.
After Santiago de Cuba is a very famous city in Cuba. This is the city that we say that is when the revolution was born. Not only the revolution of Fidel Castro, the revolution of the Cuba for the independence was born in the east of the island.
The city that we see now on the monitor.
No, this is Pinal del Rio. This is Viñales Valley. This
Okay.
is amazing place.
The valley.
Viñales Valley.
Say. The
This
valley
is
of
in the west
Viñales.
of the island. From that place is the cigars.
Wow.
The leaves of cigars cultivated in that region in Cuba.
The Cuban cigars are the most important and
Yes,
very
it's
famous,
one of the
the
most
very famous
important
ones in the world.
sports commodities of Cuba, and it's very famous all over the world because the quality is unique.
Mhm.
The smokers
We say that the Cuban
wants
cigar
a lot the Cuban cigars.
exactly, and we say that the Cuban cigar is the world's famous one
Yes,
on the market.
yes, it's the most famous cigars.
And smoking has a very old significance, Mr. Ambassador. We say it's kind
Yes,
of
it's-
worship or ritual.
Yes, it's
practice.
something when you drink a good wine
Yes.
or when you took a very old scotch. It's something like that. This is magical things
Mhm.
that you taste, and cigar is one of these things. And the quality is perfect, 100% natural, made by hand. All we have factories
Mhm.
to roll the cigars, and everything is very quiet.
Old
very
manufacturers
good,
used to produce this from a very long time.
Yes, from very long time,
Yes.
since the time of Spain.
Wow, amazing.
More than 400 years producing these cigars.
Give us a list of cigars.
When the
best
Spanish
ones.
arrived to Cuba, the indigenous people smoke a kind of lips, roll lips, and they saw that, and they discovered at that time the cigars.
Can we say from the days of the King Philip II,
Yes,
dating back
Yes.
to these days?
yes.
Wow,
Yes,
amazing.
we begin to produce factories in order to because it's a very good product, and
Yes.
people demand a lot at that time. And nowadays it's
Can
one
you-
of the more demanded products in Cuba.
Can you give us some names without any advertising?
Names of the
Names the
cigars?
the
Yes,
cigarette you see.
the Cohiba is one of the most famous cigars,
Okay.
but we have a lot of
Other.
types of yes, because people build a factory and put a name to this kind of cigar.
Mhm.
Family name. We have Cohiba, Romeo and Julieta,
Are they the most
Corona,
expensive on the market?
Partagas, H. Human, a lot of
See,
marks.
and the most expensive on the
Cohiba
market?
is one of the most expensive.
Yes.
Yes.
And
In general, are expensive, all the Cuban cigars
see,
for the quality. But Cohiba is one of the most famous, if one of the most expensive too.
how much per year does it export cigars throughout the world?
Wow,
The
about
Republic of
400
Cuba.
millions more or less. It's a big,
Wow, a big number.
industry in Cuba.
Yes.
Now the production is limited because we want to maintain the quality, we want to maintain, but this is sometimes it's difficult because we have problem with the hurricanes
Mhm.
every year, and this is not good for the agriculture.
For the seeds, you mean, of the cigars?
Yes, because the leaves,
Mhm.
if the hurricanes with the winds can
Unfortunately.
destroy all the
Yes.
the leaves,
Mhm.
and this is not good for the production.
And it
But we
affects.
try to maintain and production for the sport.
And it affects the volume order of export.
Yes, of course. If there is
Yes.
a hurricane, it's bad for Cuba.
Unfortunately.
Every year we have 6 months of season of hurricanes.
6 months?
6 months.
Wow.
Begin 1st June and till November,
Oh my
30,
God.
30 November. 6 months of the
And
year
how-
with the possibility of hurricanes in Cuba.
And how do you confront such hurricanes?
Well, we have a
the
very good
population?
system
Yes.
in order to move people that could be in dangers. We move from safe places, and we have a lot of experience.
And because of the number of the victims
In
It's
Cuba,
a bit
it's very, very
dangerous.
reduced.
reduced.
It's one of the countries of the Caribbean. All the Caribbean has problem with hurricanes, but we have a system to preserve life of people. This is the most important thing.
What
for us.
is the newest built-up system for surviving?
We have a system to preserve life of people. We organize. We have different phases, steps when the hurricane came, and we take some measures in order to protect the people, to protect the factories, all the
Exactly.
properties of the people.
Thanks God.
And
there
it's
is a
very
solution.
successful in Cuba because it's very well organized. This is the most important thing.
Your Excellency, let's see Bahana Bay. What can you tell us more about this beauty, a mixture of a green and blue color?
Yes, Cuba is always green because we don't have a winter. Our winter is very, very soft. And we have sun all the year. We are a unique country to develop the tourism by that reason. We have all the time sun, we have green all
So
the
the
time.
winter is short.
Yes,
The winter season is very
the
short.
winter is not big,
Wow.
about 20 degrees, 25 degrees. This is not winter.
This is not winter.
This is the high season in Cuba. Our winter, that begins in November, December, is the high season of the tourism, because people from Canada and Europe come to Cuba at that season, because
Okay.
it's the winter in Europe and Canada, and they prefer to travel to Cuba
And now,
because the weather is very, very nice at that time.
amazing.
Yes, this is natural.
This is very natural.
This is Varadero,
This is Baradero, this
Yes.
strip
more
that
than
is,
25 kilometers beach.
and this strip that is in the middle of the sea.
Yes.
It's a main destination for tourists.
Yes, one of the main destinations. Havana and Varadero are the most important.
How do we reach this place? We go to the airport of
Yes,
the
yes.
capital. then-
Usually they are packaged that you pay and they included a tour for Havana. After you go to Varadero, they are about 2 hours from Havana to the east.
Look at this sea. I see magic.
Amazing.
Varadera.
Yes.
This is
Yes,
Varadera.
this is Varadero. Yes.
Sea.
Yes.
Wow. It's very clean.
Yes.
It's very, clean.
uh,
It's not a Photoshop photo.
No,
it's
no,
very
no, no,
clean,
no.
really.
It's
Really.
like that. It's a natural
Wow.
photo.
Amazing.
And the sun is really, really white. And
And this
Look at this,
perfect
this
built
is,
nature, what a creation. Wow. What do we call it? This area.
this is in the center of the island.
Okay.
Yes, in Escambray. It's a mountain system
Okay.
that have rivers and have this kind of waterfall.
Water flow.
Yes, waterfall. Very, very nice.
Amazing. And
Look, the boys taking a bath in the. This is the people who live in that areas.
they must be acquainted to such nature.
Look, it's beautiful.
This is really beautiful.
In Cuba, you can combine many things. You can combine tourism of nature with a tourism of culture, with a tourism of beaches to relax. This is the historical.
I can say
because
it's a
we have
perfect.
monuments. We have many places to visit. If you want to know about Cuban history, this is
I can say it's a perfect basket of tourism.
yes, of course.
A mixture
course.
of wild, beautiful nature and everything, and the sea,
Tourism is
especially the sea.
our main product now in Cuba,
Wow.
and we want to develop more.
Your Excellency, Mr. Ambassador, we will see a short video about this beauty and about this tourism. Top 10 exports country of cigar, of coffee,
Yes, cigars,
tobacco,
coffee, nickel.
crop, nickel.
We have one of the biggest nickel reserves all over the world. We exported a lot. Sugar, sugar, tobacco, of course, cigars.
See.
Yes, many. Is
And fish.
medicines.
Let's not forget fish.
Medicines.
Pharmaceutical products.
Pharmaceutical product, biotechnological product, vaccines, some medicines. We are very high developed in that area.
And mineral products.
Minerals,
Let's not
nickel
forget
is
them.
the most
Nickel.
important because we don't have a lot of mineral resources. Yes, we export to fish, we export lobsters, shrimps, because we have very good products.
We
in
will
Cuba.
discover lobsters and shrimps in the
Fruits,
gastronomy. It's very
mango,
delicious.
mango, pineapple.
Sí.
We have an important production of this kind of
Sí.
tropical fruit.
Entonces, ahora la película de Vía Clara. I don't want to come back to the studio. I want to stay connected to this Cuban miracle and magic, really. Really.
Yes, yes, it's really,
All these
really amazing.
museums and all these music halls, and people are hanging out together,
Yes.
and they are very happy, drinking wine, smoking cigars, drinking beer.
Yes, I'm drinking rum, Cuban rum.
See.
This is the city of Santa Clara, Villa Clara. This is located in the center of the island. And it's a very important city because it was a very important place before the revolution. It was a battle, very important battle, led by Ernesto Che Guevara in that city. And we built a monument in that city in honor of Che Guevara. This is the most important thing in that city because we discovered the body of the Che Guevara in Bolivia.
Wow.
He died in Bolivia, and we put it in this monument in Santa Clara. And a lot of people
Are visiting it.
go to Santa Clara to visit this monument
Wow.
and to
Wow.
to pay tribute to Che Guevara.
Wow.
It's
Amazing.
a very, very amazing place to visit. And the city is a very beautiful city. People is very friendly. It's a very safe city. And you see in the video a lot of places that you can visit, hotels.
What's the secret, Mr. Ambassador, that Cuba is a very safe country?
The secret is the education of the people.
See.
I think that is the most important thing, because if you have people very good educated, people knows how to behave, and people are good people. In
It's not
general.
about books in universities and schools. It's about education from home.
Yes,
raising
from home
kids.
and in the schools. As you know,
See.
the education in Cuba is for free, since the primary school to the university, to the PhD. You don't have to pay anything. in
Only for
Cuba.
nationals, but for foreigners.
For nationals. For foreigners,
foreigners.
we give some scholarships for free. And if you want to go to study in Cuba, you can pay. It's possible to do that. if you
Something
want to
which is
study.
very symbolic. It's not expensive for
Yeah,
foreigners.
yes, it's cheapest than in other countries. If you want to study medicine or engineering or anything, it's
What are the main, now talking about education, what are the main education backgrounds or specifications that are the most important in the country?
well, we have about 50 universities in Cuba. We have a lot of doctors in health care, and we have, of course, I am a mechanical engineer.
Wow.
I am engineer. I studied in the Cuban university, and after that, when I finished my studies in the university, I went to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. But I am mechanical engineer. My wife is chemical engineer.
Allow me to open a bracket here, small bracket. My warm greetings to your wife.
Thank you. But I think that the biggest career is the medicine.
See.
A lot of people study medicine in Cuba.
And now
Cuba
there's
and
something with
foreigners.
Qatar, a convention that you did with Qatar,
Yes, with
Cuban
Qatar
hospitals,
and with Algeria.
Algeria too.
Yes, with
Wow.
Algeria.
They are Cuban.
And we have doctors in Saudi Arabia too.
Amazing, amazing.
Yes, we have in Qatar and in Algeria, we have hospitals with Cuban doctors.
Only Cuban
Only
doctors.
Cuban doctors,
Okay.
nurses and Cuban, all the personnel of the hospital are Cubans. This is an
Wow.
agreement between the two countries. They build the hospital and we put the doctors.
Main spoken
nurses.
language,
English.
English,
Yes, usually they spoke English.
for them to be easy to
Yes, and in Qatar we
communicate.
have another hospital, only with Cuban doctors. Very, very successful hospital.
Amazing.
Very, very recognized, the hospital in Qatar and the hospital in Algeria.
Any plan to come here to Lebanon to establish one Cuban hospital?
There is difficult because you have a very good system of health. But I think that the most important, the things that we can do here is the medicines, the Cuban
Yes.
products, that we have a very good products in Cuba. We have vaccines against lung cancer, for example,
Wow.
a therapeutic vaccine. When people is sick, you
Es
put this.
estupendo.
Yes, you develop in Cuba. You put this vaccine and people can live more,
Yes.
big
must
more.
be expensive.
Maybe yes, it's not too expensive. But we are trying to introduce this kind of medicines in Cuba. We have a very good product for the diabetic food, very successful all over the world. It's a Cuban product.
Introducing such products to the medical market, is it easy or
It's not easy
difficult?
because
Not
we need
easy.
some permissions, but we are working on it. I think that there is very good possibilities.
See.
There are some businessmen, some Lebanese enterprises that are now negotiating and talking with the Cuban biotechnological sector in order to achieve agreements and
Hopefully.
to sell, to buy in Cuba and to sell here, or maybe to produce here in Lebanon with the Cuban technology. We are
See.
working on it. I think that will be very good for both countries, this kind of cooperation. To bring doctors, I don't know, because you have a lot of doctors here.
See. So the main field of specializations, or going back to education, is in the medical system or medical specialization.
Yes, yes. medical.
And as you said, mechanical engineering, other
Yes, we
specializations.
have all the specialties in Cuba.
See.
But the most important is the doctors. Cuba has, per inhabitants, is the biggest number of doctors all over the world.
Wow, amazing.
Yes.
They must be lucky.
Yes, but by that reason, we can send Cuban doctors to work in foreign countries.
All over the
And
world.
we can, yes, because we have a lot of doctors, we don't need too much inside Cuba.
See.
And this is one of the things that we are doing now. We export Cuban services. We've signed an agreement, and we send our doctors. For example, we have now in Saudi Arabia, we have Cuban doctors working.
So lo que podemos decir is that you are a lucky population.
Yes.
Really, to cure all the people around the world.
Yes, and as education, health in Cuba is for free,
Wow.
completely free. If you need a heart operation, you can go to the hospital. You don't have to pay anything.
And the government or the health system has the ability to cover such surgeries.
Yes, all the system is a social system. We don't
See.
have private hospitals. We don't have private universities. The government paid for everything.
See.
And this is the Cuban system. I told you that we are trying to build a new kind of society.
See.
When the people, to put people in the center of this society. The most important thing is people. For example, in Cuba, we don't need that people get sick.
See.
We need healthy people.
Healthy people.
Yes,
In order
because
to shine.
in Cuba, you don't pay for the medicine, you don't pay for the operation. If you are not sick, it's better for the government
Sí.
because they don't have to pay for that.
Entonces ahora,
This is a different philosophy in the health care.
ahora, Su Excelencia, vamos a ver la película de Destino de Cuba.
Okay, go ahead.
La mides, la ganas, si la mides, te encanta, te despierta y te levanta. Beso que complace más que el mar. Mire, la vives, la amas, somos como el pentagrama. Cuba es una música libre. La mides, la ganas, si la mides, te encanta, te despierta y te levanta. Beso que complace más que el mar. Mire, la vives, la amas, somos como el pentagrama. Cuba es una música vital.
Yo que he visto tanto puedo hablar con propiedad. Entone la historia de mi gente y su sentir. Nunca un temporal pudo apagarnos el candil, ni la pasión de vivir.
Si la pides, la ganas. Si la mides, te encanta, te despierta y te levanta. Besos que complacen más que el mar. Mire, la vives, la amas, somos como el pentagrama. Cuba es una música vital. La mañanita.
Su Excelencia, me gustaría mucho cantar en su idioma.
Ahlan wasahlan.
I love these musics, all
You
of
should
them.
learn Spanish. If you speak
Sí.
French, it's not too difficult to
Sí.
learn. because we have the same base, the Latin language.
Exactly.
Yes.
What's about the
Romance
idioma?
language, French, Spanish.
Tell us a little bit about the idioma, the language.
Well, the language, as I told you, we took it from Spanish during the period of the colony,
See,
and it's our
it's an
language.
easy one.
Yes, it's not very easy, but it's our main language. We have in common with all Latin American countries. This is very good because you can travel to any country of Latin America and you speak the same language. We have a lot of coincidence in cultural issues, food, language, music. This is very, very good for Cuba.
We can say that the language is just another identity.
Yes, of course.
Exactly.
Yes, language is
Es una
is
otra
very important.
identidad.
It's a very important part of the identity of the countries.
Sí, claro.
And in Cuba, we speak Cuban Spanish because we have some words that only.
What's the
speaks
difference between
in
the
Cuba.
Spanish and the Cuban Spanish?
No, sometimes.
Por ejemplo.
If you speak, we eat some words in some words, but some letters in the words. But usually you can understand between Spanish, Cuba, and other Latin American countries.
Entonces,
But we have specific words for Cuba that only Cuban understand.
sí,
Yes,
definitely.
yes.
Entonces ahora voy a hablar en español, un poco de español. Su Excelencia, vamos a tomar una pausa and volvémonos.
Very good.
Very
Muy bien,
good.
Muy bien.
Muchas gracias. مشاهدينا بريك صغير ونرجع لكم. It's perfectly true. La vives, la amas. The more you live it, the more you love it.
Yes,
Cuba,
it's like that. Yes.
really,
Yes. If you visit it, you'll definitely love it.
definitely. And why?
course.
What's the secret that all Lebanese people love Cuba?
I think because we have too much things in common.
Sí,
Because we have a lot from Arab people. During the Spain colony, too much people. As you know, it was a very big influence from the Arab culture in Spain
Sí.
during the 8th centuries. And these people from the south of Spain, it was the first people that traveled to Cuba.
okay.
And they have a big influence from Arab people. I look like Arab, for example.
Sí.
When I walk when I went to Egypt, for example, I can walk to the street,
You have some features.
and people maybe think that I am Arab,
Sí.
not Cuban or any other. And we have a lot of influence from Arab people, and we have a lot of things in common. And this is the reason I think, because people of Lebanese people, Arab people in general, love Cuba.
What's about the Lebanese community, Mr. Ambassador?
We have an important Lebanese community, about 20,000. Nobody knows exactly, but it was a very important immigration in the first period of the 20th century. A lot of Lebanese people traveled to Cuba, and they established there.
They established
They
themselves.
get married with a Cuban woman and have children.
Blood mixture.
Yes, blood mixture.
We can say that.
But there are a lot of Lebanese people. I know some of them.
Sí.
Haddad, Abu Jaoudi,
Sí.
Huri. There are of these people
all
in
these
Cuba
families.
with his families. They stay in Cuba. Some of them get back to Lebanon with families, and all stayed in Cuba. They live in Cuba now.
Sí.
But there is a very good community. They have an union, Arab union, with Arab people who get together and they make activities. They study the language. It's
Sí.
very, very nice.
Sí.
And they are completely integrated to the Cuban society, the
Sí.
Lebanese community, Lebanese people. They are Cubans. They are Cuban
Seguro.
with Lebanese names.
Seguro. What's about another video? We will see another video
Yes,
on
of
the
course.
monitor. And
تفضل.
we will learn more about this beauty.
Of course.
Your Excellency, tell me more about the casino dance.
Well, this is most popular dance in Cuba.
See,
This is to dance salsa music.
with all these
or
movements.
Cuban music. Yes, all the movement. It's a couple, a man and a woman.
See.
They dance together
Mhm.
to the rhythm of the sound and music, and they roll, and this is very
It's
nice.
a traditional featured dance, we can say that.
Yes, it's the most popular dance.
Mhm.
We go to the concerts of Cuban groups, and we dance all the night.
Amazing. Wow, amazing.
Yes.
Now, what's about gastronomy?
Well,
Let us
gastronomy
see- let us see
is
some very
amazing.
specialties.
It's amazing. We have the base of our gastronomy is Spain,
Mhm.
but we have our own food,
Yummy.
Cuban food, seafood is very nice in Cuba. Lobsters are wonderful, shrimps.
The Caribbean smell food.
Yes, the Caribbean smell food. Fish is wonderful. We have of course meat.
This is the feijoada, as I see, feijoada,
This is yes, this
Feijoada.
is yes, it is
assorted with rice.
beans, black
See,
beans
see.
with rice
Mhm.
and meat with meat and vegetables.
Mr. Ambassador, are you good at gastronomy?
Yes,
You're good.
yes,
You can cook some plates like this.
yes. I like to cook a
Wow.
lot.
Wow, amazing.
Cuban food. I like to cook, and I'm good.
And
This
these
is
are
sandwich, Cuban sandwich, very famous.
and it's assorted with cucumbers, as I see, or
Yes,
cheese.
cucumber,
Cheese.
cheese,
meat.
ham.
Mhm.
Uh,
Ham. This is a ham and cheese.
yes, ham and cheese,
Yummy.
mayonnaise. Yes,
It's for the breakfast.
for breakfast.
I can say
yes,
that.
it's sandwich, a Cuban sandwich.
Yummy. With a lot of calorie intake. Yummy. Look at this.
This is like a soup
Oh.
with meat,
Mm-hmm.
pork meat,
Potato? Is it
potato. We have another mandioca,
Mhm.
sweet potato, batata. You call
Batata,
you
the
call,
potato. See.
potato.
Mhm. مع لحمة. meat.
Yes,
And here.
and you see here the congri. This is the white, the rice with the black beans.
See.
We cook together,
And what are the big
and
parts
you choose
here?
this kind of
Portions.
rice,
See.
black rice
Mm.
with the black beans. We call congri.
Congri.
Yes, we
Okay.
cook together, both.
See.
This is the most famous plate in Cuba.
And
You have
the portions,
the
big
banana.
portions are what? The
Yes,
banana?
banana fry.
Ah, okay.
Green banana, the biggest.
Mhm.
You cut and you fry.
Yummy.
It's very nice.
Yummy.
And this is lobsters. It's one of the most famous in
We
Cuba.
cannot go to Cuba, excuse me, without eating lobsters.
Of course.
We should eat
Or
lobsters.
Cuban shrimps.
And here,
This is avocado with the tostones.
oh my God.
Tostones is the black banana, banana, green banana, the biggest,
See,
and fry.
I call it delicious.
This is the lobsters. You can
Okay.
see.
These are
This is congri with
congri,
the meat. We call it ropa vieja.
with mouth-watering anchor woman now in the studio. It's very delicious.
Yes, very delicious. At that
we
time,
cannot,
12.
we cannot tolerate.
But this is one of the things that Cuba can offer to the tourists: a
See.
different food, very good food, very healthy food, and people love that.
What's
Yeah.
about the beverage?
The beverage we have the ron is our national drink.
See,
We have the mojito.
okay.
It's a very special cocktail with ron, with mint.
Alcohol-based?
Yes, alcohol.
See.
We have Cuban beers, of course. We produce beers, very good beers. We don't have wine, for example. Our wines are not good. Our climate is not good for
The
wines.
Mexican beer are well known too.
Yes, Mexican beer. Yes,
See.
we have it. in
Cuban
Cuba.
beers.
Cuban beers, we have it. Very good Cuban beers. But ron is the most important drink. We produce a lot of ron. We export. We have Havana Club. It's the most famous mark of Cuban rons, and we export all the world.
A lot of calories intake.
Yes.
And what's about the price? Is it an affordable price for
Yes, yes.
a
Cuba-
culinary or
yes.
gastronomic
Yes,
intake?
Cuba is not an expensive country. You can
See.
go to a restaurant,
Mhm.
maybe with $10 or $15, you can eat. Very
The
good.
currency is dollar. US
No, currency is Cuban peso.
Cuban pesos.
Yes,
See.
yes. We have Cuban peso, and you can change
Okay.
$2 or €2 to Cuban pesos. and
One
you
Cuban
can pay
peso is equivalent to
to
in US
$24,
dollars.
$24,
$24.
more or less. Yes,
Okay.
$1, 24 Cuban pesos.
It's good to know.
Yes,
It's
yes.
good to know.
But it's very cheap. You
Mhm.
can go with $10 or $15. You can go to a restaurant and you can eat.
So we can arrange for a trip, and then it's easy to have some tiny expenditures in Cuba. It's not an expensive country.
No, it's not expensive. And nowadays, if you want, you can go to a private house. It's
See.
cheapest than the hotels.
See.
And in a neighborhood in Cuba,
Airbnb, you mean?
there are
on-
yes,
See.
something like that. There are a lot of Cuban people that are renting
Wow.
a room or a house in the neighborhood, in the Cuban neighborhood. It's a very good experience. People prefer sometimes this because you are between the Cuban people
Wow.
and you can talk with the people, you can ask about anything, you can eat the traditional Cuban food.
Son amables.
Yes,
Es
a lot.
una amable población.
Yes, muy amable,
Sí.
muy servicial, friendly. The
Una-
Cuban offer everything when you go to the Cuban home,
Sí. Sí. Una otra película, and then we get back to the studio.
of course.
Su Excelencia, esta película es de Santa Lucía.
Yes,
Sí.
it's a beach, a very known beach in Cuba.
Beach Resort.
Yes, in the center of the island, Camagüey.
Sí.
It's one of the biggest provinces in Cuba.
And all these by night and by days activities.
Yes,
With all
yes,
sport
yes.
activities.
We are in a continuous party.
Sí.
The day and the night, restaurants, beach.
Sí.
It's like that in Cuba.
Now moving from tourism, economy, education, the most important part to cover in our episode, since we are in Mariam TV, and Mariam TV is always concerned with raising flags of women empowerment
Yes.
all over the world, in Lebanon and everywhere. As we know, in Cuba, 53% of the mujeres of women are in the parliament. This is a very important number, and the second in the world. What can you tell us, Mr.
Yes.
Ambassador?
Since the beginning of the Cuban Revolution in 1959, that one of the most important things that the revolution implement to empower women, to give the opportunities to work, to study, to create many things. And nowadays, it's a very, very important part of the Cuban society in the research, in the universities, in the politics life in Cuba. 53% of our parliament, the members of the Cuban parliament are women, about 322. Our
Wow.
parliament have 605 members, and about 322 are women. This is the
An amazing
second
number.
parliament in the world.
Wow, amazing.
This is only one example of the importance of the women in the Cuban society, in the Cuban life, and they are everywhere in Cuba.
Sí.
They are in the sports, they are in culture, they are in
Medicine.
research, they are in the universities. The
Sí.
women are everywhere. They are in very important politics posts in Cuba.
Mhm.
Yes, you can see in the pictures.
Women must be skyrocketing throughout their activities
The
and
Cuban women
careers.
is very, very independent. Very,
Wow.
very independent.
Wow. And in the military service, even military life, since back, women are active.
Yes, it's not obligatory. It's not obligatory the military for the women's, but they can go to some kind of groups if she wants, of course, and they are part of this important things
But going
for
back
Cuba
to
that is
history,
defends our sovereignty, our independence.
Your Excellency, las mujeres must be very courageous to have such positions in the country, really.
Yes.
And how do they balance home and career if they have a big family? How can they achieve
Yes,
this balancing?
Nowadays the Cuban families are not so big. For example, we have 2 children, usually 1 or 2 children. Of course, it's difficult to combine the 2 things,
Sí.
but the Cuban women can do that. They can study. They
They are
can
strong.
go to the university. Yes, very strong women,
Sí.
and very independent. Very, for example, my wife is a master in mechanical chemical engineer.
Sí.
She works in a research institute of the sugar cane, and he can do everything. And of course,
Everything at the same time.
at home, I have responsibilities to do because this is the education of the Cuban system. Not only women have to do everything at home, or we have responsibilities too. The men have responsibility,
So we can say that Cuban...
and we share these things at home, and this is good for women that can achieve more and more steps.
We can say that Cuban women are almost everywhere.
Yes,
Sí.
they are in every place in Cuba.
Sí. And
every
standing
place.
on the international platforms too.
Yes,
Sí.
of course.
Sí.
We have a Cuban federation, women's federation, that is ONG organization in order to help women.
And raising campaigns
Yes,
to enhance
to,
women empowerment.
to empower women, to help women with problems, to facilitate to studies. Yes, this is a organization that we create in the beginning of the revolution, and still now working with women and for women.
Sí.
Yes.
Your Excellency, Mr. Alexander Moraga, Ambassador of the Republic of Cuba to Lebanon, what's your message today to the audience, Lebanese audience and international audience?
Yes, I advise everything that visit Cuba. It's a very, very safe country, a beautiful country with great people, great food, and I'm sure that they are going to enjoy if they travel to Cuba, to Havana, to Varadero. They are going to discover a different country,
Sí.
a different country. And I think this is very important.
And for the visa papers for Lebanese, is it easy to apply to the embassy
Yes, it's
consular
easy
section?
to apply. We ask for some documents,
Sí.
the ticket, the
Hotel
reservation, copy of passport, 1 picture, but
Sí.
it's not, and to fill some papers at the
Some
embassy.
applications.
In 1 week, maybe less, we can give you the tourist visa to travel to Cuba. It's very easy. The only problem to travel to Cuba is that it's very expensive, the ticket.
Sí.
This is the only problem, because
Can't you make it lower in order to be able to go and come back many times?
no, this is the airlines that put the
Sí.
price. But I think that is a good opportunity
to visit the country.
To visit the country.
Sí. Muchas gracias, Su Excelencia, Embajador de la República de Cuba in Lebanon. Thanks a
شكرا
lot.
لك شكرا مريم تبي for this interview, for this opportunity to talk about Cuba, to talk about Cuban history, about Cuban women's, about everything. This is very important for Cuba.
Muchas gracias.
شكرا لك.
نحن وياكم مشاهدينا بنختم لليوم لقائنا من برنامج سفرة مع سفير مع شريط صغير عن جمهورية كوبا. بودعكم أنا جوال حتى لقاءات أخرى والله معكم.